Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Chantel, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is my favorite iPad accessories. So I work on my iPad pretty much every single day, and I also use my iPad a lot of the time just for fun anyway. So I have a lot of iPad experience, and I have bought a ton of iPad accessories over the years for pretty much all of the iPads in the current lineup. My favorites right now, the current iPads that I'm using, are the M2 12.9 inch iPad and the iPad mini 6. Today we're going to focus more on the larger iPad Pro, and that's because the iPad Pros come in the 12.9 size and the 11 inch size, and that's been that way for the last 3 years. So if you have an iPad Pro, you either have the 11 inch size or the 12.9 inch size. Likely the things I talk about for my iPad Pro will have a version for the type of iPad you have. If you're interested specifically in the accessories I like to use with my iPad mini 6, let me know and I could do a follow-up to this. So we have a lot of iPad accessories to get through today, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into it. The first one I'm gonna talk about is the Magic Keyboard. I have bought this twice. I know it's a really pricey thing, but when I upgraded from the 11 inch to the 12.9 inch, I became very clear on what iPad accessories I really liked, because those were the accessories that I ended up having to buy twice for my new device. And I totally did repurchase the 12.9 inch Magic Keyboard, and I don't regret it at all. To me, it's worth it. It really makes my iPad more of a laptop-like experience. So when I travel, I often bring it just like this with just my Magic Keyboard, and it works really well for me because it has that really sturdy trackpad. I've never ever had an issue with my Magic Keyboard, even though it's really quite a pricey little device. I will say that you can sometimes find them on sale on Amazon particularly, and you can find them used there as well. I've tried both colors, to be honest with you. Both of them are just as easy and as hard to maintain in cleanliness, because it has that material that's kind of like that soft touch rubber material. It's really nice, but you'll just have to take a type to either the white one or the black one, and I have both. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. If you really hate when things get scuffs on them, then maybe you want to try another keyboard. But for me personally, I love that it has the pass-through charge, and it just works really well. It never falls over. You could have it sitting in your lap, and I find it just really works well. So do I think every iPad user needs a Magic Keyboard? No, because you could definitely use a cheaper keyboard to get the job done. And especially if you're someone who mostly just writes and draws on their iPad, you might not even find you use a keyboard very much. So if you're one of those people, you could probably skip on a Magic Keyboard and look into getting some other kind of cases that are on the market. Personally, a big fan of my Magic Keyboard, and I'm also a big fan of the Apple Pencil. There are other Apple Pencil kind of dupes that you can get, but personally, I have never run into an issue with my Apple Pencil. I would just repurchase this a million times over. You can also find them on sale a ton of places, especially the Apple Pencil Generation 2 that magnetically attaches and charges. It's so convenient. It works so well. It's kind of what, for me, is the magic of an iPad. So I'm a big fan of having an Apple Pencil. All right, so let's get into iPad cases. The thing about iPad cases to me personally is they're not a one size fits all. I have a bunch of options. I'm not suggesting that you should go out and buy all of them. I kind of think there are different iPad cases for different experiences that you might have with your iPad, different kind of user experiences, whether you're someone, again, who uses their iPad more laying down, if you're the kind of person that uses an iPad more like a laptop, or if you're the kind of person that uses both, so you need it to be able to flip-flop between using on something like a Magic Keyboard and using flat on your desk in the same kind of setting. So if you're someone who uses a Magic Keyboard or a magnetic stand and you're taking it on and off all day, you need to be able to have a case that's going to come off pretty easily. And for that, I would recommend a folio case. So there are a few options that I have. The first one I'm going to talk about is Apple's folio case, and it is really nice. I love the softness of the velvet material on the inside. The only thing I would say about it is pretty pricey for what it is. And it also doesn't hold your Apple Pencil in place. So if you're just using a case like this and you shove this in your backpack or something and you go to school, you might find that your pencil comes off. Almost guaranteed your pencil is going to come off. So that's just like the one drawback with it, but they come in really nice colors. They match your iPads like perfectly, and they are really great quality cases. Just something to think about with the pricing. The next case that I would recommend is a very inexpensive folio case from Amazon. And the thing I like about this case is that it has this little extra piece of material that flips over your Apple Pencil when you're using it, and it makes it just so much easier to, again, in that situation, if you're sticking it in your bag, your Apple Pencil is probably not going to fall off. Am I going to say that this is the most secure case on the planet? No. And it is, I would say this is a lot less high quality than the Apple one. There is no flocking on the inside like the Apple one has, but it's nice and it is very, very inexpensive. So I have bought this in a few colors and it serves my purpose. The one I would say that I would probably recommend the most, that I think is the highest quality outside of the Apple one, but still at an affordable price point, is the Alago magnetic folio. And the cool thing about this one is that it comes in two pieces. So you can take off the front piece if you're using it, especially it's particularly to be used with their stand, which we'll talk about later, but you could leave the back on and use it with a magnetic stand. And that is nice. But again, there's no flocking on this, but it is pretty nice quality and the price is right. So, okay, so the next cases we're going to talk about are a little bit more protective than the folio cases we were just looking at. And they are these kind of cases. There's tons of them on Amazon. They have like a rubber edging so you can securely put your iPad in here, and it's got a cover as well. You have two options for these. You have the kind that have like a colorful front and then it has a clear back like this, or you have like these printed kinds. I'm not super brand loyal to any of the cases that do these. I think there are tons on Amazon. I've bought off a ton of sellers on there as well, and to be honest, I think they're all pretty similar. I'll leave the specific sellers for these two down below, but to be honest, I mostly pick these kinds of cases based on the colors that I like, and I'll go with the seller that has the color I like available. I'm not sure if that's like the best recommendation, but it is just the truth. So these are nice because they have a secure place for your Apple Pencil, and it's also rubbery on the outside, so it offers a level of protection that the folio cases don't. So I do really enjoy that. I used to use those a lot to travel until recently I purchased this spec case. Kind of looks, I would say it's like the most professional looking out of the bunch. It kind of has this vinyl, like folio, business folio feeling on the outside, and it also has a really secure clip. So when you stick your Apple Pencil into place here, there is no way it is falling off. I love the colors of these. It comes in a ton of colors. It has got like a suede-like interior. It has a spot to securely place your iPad and keep it in place, and then it locks closed. The cool thing about this case as well is it has a little flipped magnetic area, so if you needed to use the camera and take a picture, you could use it, and you can also cover up your camera for travel and to keep that camera protected. So this is kind of the priciest case besides maybe the folio case that I'm gonna recommend, but I do think that this is worth it. It's my favorite case right now. And then the last case that I have to recommend isn't even really so much a case as it is like a specific sleeve for a specific reason. So if you're the kind of person that uses a Magic Keyboard, if you have a Magic Keyboard and you mostly carry around your iPad with a Magic Keyboard, then you know that your iPad fits nice and snugly in the Magic Keyboard. You can fold it up and take it on the go, but there's no really spot to secure your Apple Pencil. And also, you really can't use a case with it because no cases will fit inside the Magic Keyboard except for this. This is called the Switch Easy Cover Buddy, and I have bought this more than once because, for one, I will say this is overpriced for what it is. What it is essentially is a very thin piece of plastic that you can leave on your iPad while you're using your Magic Keyboard. That's why I like this so much. And it also has a spot for your Apple Pencil. So when you're using it inside of your Magic Keyboard, you're able to leave it on there. You're able to have a place to securely store your Apple Pencil. And if you take your iPad off of your Magic Keyboard and you lay it flat on your desk to write or draw, you're not having to use it like bare on the table. So that's why I like it. I do think it's overpriced for what it is, but to be honest with you, I would buy it again, and it definitely serves a purpose for me. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about are my favorite stands. I do not think that you need multiple stands. I'm going to give you options here because, again, they're not one size fits all. I'm going to recommend a magnetic stand. I'm going to recommend a stand that's magnetic that works for non-MagSafe iPads, and I'm going to recommend a stand that you don't need to use magnetic things with. You could leave your case on and use. So the first one I'm going to recommend is this magnetic stand. It's from a seller that I cannot pronounce, but it's on Amazon. I will leave the link down below. But the thing I like about this one is that even though it's sturdy, it's pretty compact, and I like that it gets into every single angle that I could possibly need. So I could actually write, I could get it into a writing position, and I can switch it from portrait to landscape depending on how I wanted to use it. There's pretty much no angle I can't get this particular stand into. And the other thing I like about it is that it folds up pretty flat. So this is very easy to travel with as well. So the next one I'm gonna recommend is cool because it comes in colors. Most of these stands come pretty much just in gray or black, but this one comes in pink, and it's from the same brand that made that magnetic folio case I was just talking about, Alago. So there are a couple of options and they match perfectly with the matching folio case. So if you're the kind of person that likes a really cute setup, you might really like these stands. But the other cool thing about this stand and why I'm recommending it today is because they have thought of people, iPad users, and not just iPad users that have MagSafe devices. If you have an iPad that isn't MagSafe, you would be able to use this as well because they include a magnetic sticker that you can install onto your iPad, and then you're able to use a sleek magnetic stand as well. The only thing I don't love about this stand is that your angles are really limited because there's only a hinge here and there isn't a hinge down here. But again, it's totally up to you and what your preferences are. And my final stand that I'm going to recommend is actually a stand that I use a ton, especially if I'm using more protective cases. So I showed you a bunch of more protective cases that really require effort to put it in and take it out of. I really like this stand for that because it's not magnetic. It has a little ledge here, but it is super sturdy. You can get this into every angle that you want. The only thing with this stand versus the other stand is because it's manual and it requires it to be a little bit more heavy and sturdy, these joints aren't as easy, aren't as smooth to move as the magnetic kind. But to be honest, it's a lot cheaper and I use it a ton. The nice thing is you can use it for any of your devices, any of your tablets, whether they are MagSafe or not. And I like that I can get it down into that writing angle that I particularly like for an iPad. So those are my favorite stands. Okay, next up, let's talk about screen protectors. I personally use a screen protector, not so much for the protection, but more for the matte screen protector experience that makes your screen feel a little bit more like writing on paper than it feels like writing on glass. So for that reason, my number one recommendation for years has been the Paperlike. It is exactly what it sounds like. It gives you back that friction on your screen so it's easier to write or draw if you find that you don't like the experience of writing on a glass screen. The other thing I will say about the Paperlike is I'm pretty sure it was the very original matte screen protector, so a lot of technology goes into this particular screen protector. They have come out with versions of it that are less harsh on your pencil tip. So I find I don't experience as much wear using the Paperlike as I do using random matte screen protectors from Amazon, which is why I like it and I've recommended it for so long. The other thing that I like about a Paperlike specifically is that they have a really, really great application video. So you're really going to be able to get this on without bubbles if you wanted to, if you follow the directions. And if you do get bubbles in it, they have excellent customer service. So they're one that it's kind of like a fail-safe recommendation for me, but very recently I have tried some other screen protectors that, I don't know, they kind of compete. There's a little competition in the game now. And the reason I started trying some other screen protectors is because recently 2 screen protectors came out that kind of solved a problem that you just kind of couldn't avoid when you're using something like the Paperlike. The Paperlike is a permanent install and it's plastic. So I have one option that is a glass screen protector and one option that's magnetic. So you can put it on and take it off without having to do the whole install process. So one drawback with a matte screen protector is kind of distorts your screen a little bit. I've never found that to be an issue for me personally, but some people really hate it. If you're watching a ton of videos, if you're watching like most of your movies and stuff on your iPad, I can see why you wouldn't want a matte screen protector on there. And if that's you, and you still want a matte screen protector, you should try this one. It's again from an Amazon brand. I will link down below, but you can put it on and take it off, which is awesome. So you can put it on when you want to take notes or when you want to draw, and then you can take it off when you want to watch content on your iPad. I think it's like revolutionary for a product. The only thing that I will say that's slightly annoying about it is that you have to be careful, especially if you're using alternate Apple Pencil tips, if you're using like the metal pen tips, because since it isn't stuck all the way down, there's a chance that you could kind of rip the material. But it's very, very inexpensive. So almost if you ruined it, you could definitely buy another one. It's worth a try. For sure. But I will say the only thing with this screen protector is that unlike the Paperlike, it doesn't have that like nano dot screen. So it really does distort your screen. There's no way you could leave this on and go about the rest of your day with it on. You could really only use it if you're writing or you're drawing, just because it is like very thick and kind of blurry looking. But again, it's fine for taking notes, especially if you just want it there for the texture and then you want to take it off and view your screen normally outside of it. And the last screen protector I'm going to recommend is maybe my favorite one right now. And the reason I tried it is because a lot of you guys have been asking for a long time for a glass screen protector recommendation. And I personally have never been able to recommend one because I use a screen protector primarily for the texture and not so much for the protection, but now you can have both. You don't have to choose. The glass screen protector is another permanent install method, so you have to be pretty comfortable with how it looks before and after. I'm, again, okay with that, but it provides a level of protection because it is a tempered glass material and it is an awesome texture to write on. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I would say the only real drawback is because tempered glass installs are kind of a little tougher. I have a little bubble on the base of my screen protector. It's fine. It's like off to the side. So it's not a big deal for me, but in case that bothers you, in case you don't like installing tempered glass screen protectors, you might not like this, but personally, I'm a big fan. There were a couple things I was concerned about. I was concerned that since it's a lot thicker than a plastic screen protector, that I would experience pencil lag, but I absolutely have not. And the other thing I was really concerned about was it, since it's a glass material, that it would just eat through my Apple Pencil tip. And so I used it with a metal tip. I will say I don't love the sound of the glass and the metal tip, to be honest with you. So I switched back to my regular Apple Pencil tip, and I write and I draw on this thing all the time, and I have not experienced any wear on my Apple Pencil tip yet. I'm sure it's inevitable. It's inevitable with any matte screen protector, but shockingly, for being as hard of a material as glass is, I have not noticed significant wear on my Apple Pencil tip at all. And finally, I have some Apple Pencil accessories to kind of shout out. I like a sleeve or a pencil grip from time to time. My favorite personally are from the Uppercase brand, but there's also a very cute pencil one from the Alago brand. This is really more of an aesthetic preference than I think for anything else. I'm not really sure how protective these cases are. Somebody let me know if you know, but I think they're really cute, and most of the time these are really affordable. So I really like the Uppercase ones because you can still magnetically charge your pencil if you have an Apple Pencil Generation 2. Some of the chunkier ones you can't still attach, so something to kind of keep in mind. Those are my favorites. I'll leave them linked down below. Another thing I like to do with my Apple Pencil is to switch out the tips for alternate tips, and one of my favorites to use are these little pen tips that I got on Amazon. And they kind of feel like you're using a ballpoint pen, and I love that. But again, depending on which screen protector you use, it might scratch, just something to keep in mind. And I also like these pen tips, and they're cool because they look cool for sure. They have the little gold ball in them, but they're the exact same shape as an Apple Pencil, as a normal Apple Pencil tip, but it's made out of a much harder plastic. So if you had an issue, if you were using a screen protector that really was running through your pencil tips, using something like this is going to last a lot longer. And it's just something that's fun to use. So I like to experiment with Apple Pencil tips. I do always go back to my regular standard Apple Pencil tips, but I find that it's fun to kind of switch them out. And that is my roundup of my current iPad favorites. Most of those are from Amazon, so I will link them down below. If you use those links, thank you. It supports my crazy addiction to buying iPad things, and I will continue to review them for you if you are interested. If you're interested in seeing a roundup of my favorites for my iPad mini, let me know. If this was helpful, it would mean the world to this little channel if you liked and subscribed, and I will catch you next time. Bye.